Hello, this is the news on NTA International. I'm Nancy Godi Angonihu, and on sign language is Hannah Olayinka. First, the headlines. U.S. President Joe Biden criticizes Supreme Court's decision granting partial immunity to Donald Trump. House of Representatives urges federal and state governments to effectively contain outbreak of cholera in Lagos and other parts of the country. Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu presents catalogue of Unity Fabric competition, unveils judges. Now the news in full. President Bola Tinubu has approved the appointment of Salamatu Ladi Ahmed as the Executive Secretary of the Federal Government Staff Housing Loans Board. The head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Folashade Yemi Eson, disclosed this on Monday, July 1, 2024, while handing over the appointment letter to the new Executive Secretary. Salamatu, the board's Director of Operations, succeeds Ibrahim Meriga, who has proceeded on a terminal leave ahead of the expiration of his 4-year tenure in September 2024. The head of the Civil Service of the Federation charged her to leverage the wealth of experience garnered over the years towards ensuring the full realization of the board's core mandate. Meanwhile, in furtherance of the federal government's efforts to consolidate activities aimed at energizing the growth opportunities within the real estate sector, President Bola Tinubu has approved the appointment of the following qualified Nigerians to the board of the Family Homes Funds Limited. They are Demola Adebise, Board Chairman Abdul Mutalab, Chief Executive Officer, Managing Director, Abdullahi Musa, Executive Director, Finance, Emeka Henry Inebu, Executive Director, Operations, representative of the Ministry of Finance Incorporated, will serve as non-executive director. Other members of the board include the representative of the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority, non-executive director, Sam Okabwe, non-executive director, Musa Ahmed, non-executive director, Enyang Nkang, non-executive director, and Bilkisu Usman, non-executive director. The president expects the new members of the board of the agency to deploy their expertise, experience, and commitment to steer the Family Homes Fund towards achieving its mandate of driving growth and development in the real estate sector. Now, a catalogue bearing all the entries for the hashtag One Nigeria Unity Fabric competition has been presented to the public ahead of final selection of a winner. Promoter of the competition and Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu, while presenting the catalogue in her office, also unveiled 2 fashion icons as judges for the competition. State House correspondent Adeniyi Taiwo reports that excitement is already building up ahead of the unveiling of the winner.
Fellow Nigerians, it is
from the moment the hashtag One Nigeria Unity Fabric competition was announced by Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu, the goal was clear, and that is to promote an identity that not only reflects the unity of Nigeria, but also inspire a sense of patriotism among the people. At the end of June, when submission of entries for the competition closed, a total of 111 entries were received and catalogued.
The winner will be presented with the prize money of 20 million naira to be channeled into his or her education or business venture.
Renowned fashion icon Princess Abba Folawiyo and international textile designer Banke Kuku were unveiled as judges to select the design that ultimately captures the beauty and oneness of the country.
Bringing business into local economy, which is good, and because our manufacturers are going to be from Nigeria, so we did that during the campaign. So we believe that there will be job creation, there will be money put in the system.
Well, I'll be looking out for creativity, what the designers do. then I would decide.
I think it opens people up to understanding there is a future and there is a creativity. It kind of brings seriousness to the creative industry because, you know, a lot of people are very strict on themselves to do certain types of jobs, but there's such a huge career in creativity. There's so much to be done in Nigeria in terms of that. There's so the market is huge.
After a winner emerges in September, fabrics from the winning design will be adopted for use to commemorate this year's Independence Anniversary celebration. In the State House, NTAi, NTA News.
And stepping out of Nigeria, United States President Joe Biden has criticized the U.S. Supreme Court's decision to grant former president and current presidential candidate Donald Trump partial immunity for his alleged role in the January 2021 riots. Chukwunonso Nwabweze reports.
President Biden, during a televised press statement in Washington, D.C., emphasized that no one is above the law, not even the President of the United States, but that the Supreme Court decision on presidential immunity fundamentally changed this principle. For all practical purposes, Monday's decision almost certainly means that there are virtually no limits to what a president can do. This is a fundamentally new principle, and it's a dangerous precedent, Biden further stated.
Now the man who sent that mob to the U.S. Capitol is facing potential criminal conviction for what happened that day. And the American people deserve to have an answer in the courts before the upcoming election. The public has a right to know the answer about what happened on January 6th before they are asked to vote again this year.
He added that the judgment undermined the rule of law and was a terrible disservice to Americans.
The American people must decide whether Donald Trump's assault on our democracy on January 6th makes him unfit for public office in the highest office in the land. The American people must decide if Trump's embrace of violence to preserve his power is acceptable.
Also, some U.S. citizens who gathered outside the Supreme Court gave their view on the implication of the ruling.
When the ruling first came out, I was confused. I didn't realize it was unofficial acts which allow him no immunity. And so now it looks like they're going to kick the can down the road to a lower court, which won't happen until after the election. And if Trump gets reelected, God help us.
My brother, Greg Wilhoit, spent 5 years on death row in Oklahoma, was almost executed for a crime he did not commit. And now Donald Trump is getting immunity for crimes he did commit.
And even though this decision is not what people think, it just shows that the one thing that's lacking not only in America but the world is accountability.
The decision by the U.S. Supreme Court could also have an impact on Donald Trump's 2 other criminal trials, which have not yet begun, in which he also invoked presidential immunity, including a federal trial in Florida. Any trial is unlikely to start before November's presidential election. Chukwunonso Nwabweze, NTN News.
More than 87 people have been killed in a crash at a religious gathering in northern India, officials said. The incident took place at a Hindu religious event in Hathrak district in Uttar Pradesh state. Again, Chukwunonso Nwabweze reports.
The victims, including a large number of women and some children, are still being identified. Survivors describe how the disaster unfolded as they tried to leave the event venue. When the sermon finished, everyone started running out and people fell in a drain by the road before they started falling on top of each other and got crushed to death, an eyewitness told Indian news agency. With a figure of more than 80 deaths, Chief Medical Officer from the neighboring district of Etah told reporters the stampede also left many children dead. Officials say the venue was overcrowded, adding that a high-level committee has been formed to investigate the incident. Accidents are routinely reported at religious events in India as huge crowds gather in tight spaces with little adherence to safety measures. In 2018, around 60 people were killed after a train rammed into a crowd watching celebrations for Dussehra, a Hindu festival. Chukwunonso Nwabweze, NTN News.
In a bid to further deepen diplomatic relations and boost economic ties, Tunisia and Libya have reopened the Ras Jdir border in Ben Gaden. Again, Chukwunosong Mabeze is reporting that the reopening is coming after being temporarily closed for 104 days due to security concerns. Very sorry for the loss of audio in that report earlier on. As calls to modernize Southern Africa's rail passenger and freight infrastructure are growing louder by the day, the global rail fraternity gathered at the Africa Rail exhibition in Johannesburg to discuss challenges on the continent and show off the latest in trains and technology. Research has shown that a well-functioning rail system will unlock economic benefits and boost trade among the Southern African development communities, 16 member states, as Africa moves toward becoming an integrated trade bloc.
The Southern African Development Community is pushing ahead with plans to transform rail networks and get bulk traffic off the roads. Trains are a cheap and reliable mode of transport and an important tool for trade. But all this is being compromised by inadequate and poorly maintained infrastructure.
There are certainly many exciting projects happening in the region through many of our member countries in Tanzania, Botswana, Mozambique, Angola. That is very exciting for the region. It's significant investment in the rail space, which is meant to improve the logistics efficiencies, both from a freight and passenger point of view.
The latest in high-tech systems and modernized trains were on display at the Africa Rail exhibition in Johannesburg. It brought investors from around the world eager to be a part of the region's transformation.
It's really important for the operators to pay attention and to use the latest technologies to get informed of the real condition of their network and to make predictive maintenance actions to keep it in a good way.
South Africa's rail network is particular in entering a new era with involvement from the private sector, which could be a bonus for the entire region.
If we had a modern train which can take us from Zambia to Zimbabwe to Mozambique to Lesotho to Eswatini, how much of the trade, in terms of trade and business, would we earn out of that? It's a lot.
It's a benefit for all of us to see an improved and connected railway within the region and within the continent. If one just stretches beyond SAR and look at in terms of the AU, the Agenda 2063, it talks about connecting the continent from the north to the south.
Rail has always played a key role in Africa's development and will continue to do so as the continent enters a new era under the Free Trade Agreement. But much will depend on an integrated and united approach from African nations.
We come back to Nigeria, where with the countries being a destination country for migration, key players in the migration space are working towards strengthened partnerships that will tackle issues on mixed migration. Ruth Aguele reports that this was at the launch of the platform on cooperation of mixed migration held in Abuja.
Nigeria is a key transit and destination countries and plays a crucial role in the global phenomenon.
Migration dialogue is not new to Nigeria, especially with growing concerns and ways of surmounting challenges associated with the norm. This forum by stakeholders is to launch a platform for cooperation on mixed migration, which is expected to serve as a hub for key players to collaborate, share ideas, and address complexities of mixed migration, while ensuring the protection and well-being of migrants.
To achieve the promise of migration, we must work together to address the root causes of irregular migration, such as poverty, climate change, conflict, disasters, unemployment.
We need to come together, ensure that the rights of migrants in Nigeria and Nigerians outside this nation are being respected.
The Federal Commissioner, National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, Aliyu Tijani Ahmed, in a message, applauds the initiative, which represents a milestone for collective approach in tackling the multifaceted challenges of mixed migration.
Let us all work together to create an environment where every migrant, regardless of their status, is treated with dignity and respect.
We have the labor migration, we have the refugees and internally displaced persons. This mixture is what PCMM stands for.
With the theme, Unity in Diversity, Collaborative Solutions for Mixed Migration, the platform is expected to be the game changer for enhancing capacity amongst partners for sustainable solutions. In Abuja, Ruth Aguwele, NTA News.
You're watching the news on NTA International. We take a break. Thank you for staying with us. Senate is seeking the repeal of the National Identity Management Commission Act to give way to the establishment of an identity commission alongside a national identity database. The bill, sponsored by the Deputy President of the Senate, Barau Jibrin, made provisions for maintenance of the national database, registration of individuals and issuance of identity credentials with the hope of addressing crimes relating to identity theft. The bill also seeks to streamline sharing of personal data and expand the scope of the commission.
It's known everywhere in the world. If you don't have this kind of arrangement, an ID management system that can detect whoever commits crime, can find out about the activities of each and every Nigerian, or even those who even come into the country, then we are really not ready to fight crime. The issues of kidnapping, terrorism can be dealt with properly if you have a kind of system we are talking about in this bill. So thank everyone. That said, let me now put the question.
Still from the legislature, the House of Representatives has passed a resolution urging the federal and state governments to urgently put in place measures to effectively contain the outbreak of cholera in Lagos and other parts of the country. Adopting a motion of urgent public importance by Minority Leader Kingsley Chinda, the House notes that the rapid spread of the disease constitutes serious public health concern, given the casualties and deaths reported by the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC.
Information, national orientation, ethics and values to oversee the rigorous public orientation, enlightenment and education of the citizenry on the need to maintain personal hygiene at all times by relevant government agencies.
The Green Chamber also condemned the recent bomb attacks in Goza, local government area of Borno State, which left several people dead and many injured.
After identifying their faces, it was discovered that they were recruited, they were drugged, they were brainwashed, and they were imported to come to Goza from somewhere to cause this issue. They came in uniform, what is normally called in the northern part of Nigeria Anko. They are wearing the same color of uniform. So it's a wake-up call for everybody in the country. If you see this kind of thing, they are more or less security threat.
The all-society approach strategy should be used to detect these type of actions before they happen.
Unless we begin to hold people responsible and accountable, people will be posted to particular areas and the people of that area's lives are not being protected. And you cannot hear like it happened during military juntas, that someone is called to account for neglecting his responsibility that led to a particular act.
It's painful. And I share in the pain of those from the affected states. It's not only in the north. Just 2 days ago or 3 days ago, policemen were shot again in Abia State for doing nothing at their duty posts.
Lawmakers urge the security agencies to step up intelligence gathering and surveillance to nip the security threats in the bud. Gender activists in Nigeria are advocating the repositioning of 2 gender bills for passage by the 10th Assembly. Elizabeth Omori reports that this was at a policy roundtable where key players in gender mainstreaming are expected to come up with recommendations that will aid passage of the bills into law.
Gender advocates say women's rights have improved over the years, but continued progress is not guaranteed. Human trafficking, gender-based violence, poverty, harmful cultural practices, and financial instability are just a few of issues women face globally. These impediments are part of the reasons they are gathered to reposition the 2 gender bills, HB 191 Sexual Offences Act Amendment Bill 2019 and HB 342 National Council for Widows, Dependents, Children and Orphans Assistance Bill 2019 for reconsideration.
We clamor for the support of our erudite honorable members, showcasing promising practice on widows' rights and in the field of land policy and governance in widows' issues.
We must ensure that survivors receive comprehensive support,
empowerment of widows, education of the girl child, and improved health care were also raised.
We don't have an agency that is particularly focused on the issues of widows and orphans in this country. So that is why the bill for setting up a council for widows and orphans is very important.
We are in the space to disseminate so that women will know these laws.
The technical working groups are expected to come up with adoptable recommendations to recraft the bills for proper inclusion for women. In Abuja, Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
The High Court's Kano State has adjourned sitting on Kano Emir tussle to July 4 for the hearing of all applications and the ongoing case instituted by the Kano State Attorney General, Kano House of Assembly, and its Speaker against the 5 deposed emirs of Kano, Bichi, Rano, Karaye, and Gaya. Elizabeth Yila Lamido reports.
The applicants, Kano Attorney General and the State House of Assembly, are seeking an order restraining the 5 dethroned emirs from presenting themselves as traditional rulers. Counsel to the applicants informed the court that they were served with 5 processes on July 1st by the respondent and urges the court to give 30 minutes stand-down to enable them serve the respondents with their responses. Counsel to the respondent opposed the 30-minute stand-down and sought for an adjournment to enable them reply and file all their applications. Justice Amina Adamu Aliyu adjourned the matter until July 4th for hearing of all pending applications and originating motion.
We seek the stand-down for the court for us to serve them with the processes so that they can respond to it and the court will go on. But unfortunately, they insisted that the matter be adjourned so that they have time to pass a response to our counter affidavit to their applications.
And we told the court that, you see, we cannot wait all the day for them. If they even bring the processes, we need to go and study it and respond to same.
In a related development, a ruling by Justice Simon Amobeda of the Federal High Court in Kano has prompted further legal maneuvers. The counsel representing the defendants, mainly the state government, has filed an application for a stay of execution of the judgment. This has been met with a counter affidavit from the applicant, Aminu Ado Bayero's counsel. The Federal High Court has scheduled the matter for ruling on Monday, July 8, 2024. In Kano, Elizabeth Yila, NTA News.
Up next is Sports Update with Olumide Eguntola as our guide.
Preparations are in top gear by Nigeria's male rugby national team, the Black Stallions, ahead of this weekend's second leg African Men's Sevens Tournament, slated for the 6th and 7th of July 2024. Nigeria will confront hosts Mauritius, South Africa and Zimbabwe in Group C, The Nigerian side placed 10th in the first stage, and the team is planning to improve on its performance in the second stage. Overall winner in the tournament will be determined by cumulative points in the two stanzas. The top two teams will qualify for the Challenger Series in 2025. In mixed martial arts, to further ensure the development of the sports in the country, the Boxing and Mixed Martial Arts Hall of Fame have held the Southwest edition of the National Amateur Boxing and MMA Championship in Lagos. The event had more than 50 fighters from 6 Southwest states competing in both mixed martial arts and boxing. The championship was organized under the auspices of Global Association of Mixed Martial Arts, featuring 5 fights, while the boxing championship was officiated by the Lagos State Boxing Association, featuring 12 fights.
We know that we have a lot of talented boxers and mixed martial artists that can actually bring Nigeria gold in boxing in the Olympics, and that's our target.
From the foreign scene, more countries are picking quarter-final tickets at the ongoing Euro 2024 Nations competition to join Spain, Germany and France. Tuesday round of 16 matches include Romania against Netherlands, while Austria will tackle Turkey. With sports updates, Olumide Eguntola, NTA News.
Now Wednesday's weather prospects just before we go. That's the end of the news. I'm Nancy Godi Angone, who went on sign language. Husband Hannah Olainka.